What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Mafia Midway. I know it's not the midweek, which we always typically do, but heck, the midweek was on New Year's Eve, and we were all out celebrating. So here we are, Friday night edition of the Midway. Um, we're heading into a massive week of football with playoff seeding still at stake in the AFC and in the NFC. We're going to mostly focus on the AFC here tonight. We'll talk about our Bills, such as Ed Oliver's setback, which is just crazy to me. I'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about who the Bills potentially start this weekend. I saw Josh Allen. He was limited in practice, but he has no designation. I We'll talk about that. Do we want him to play? And I think that depends on what goes down, because even the Bills, who sit at they sit at number 7 right now, have a chance to move up to number 5, and at the very least, a good chance to move up to number 6. We'll talk about that a little bit, and whether we prefer fifth or sixth or seventh based on the matchup that we could have. And then we'll talk about some of those potential matchups in week 1 in the playoffs. And then we'll also end with some fond memories from the Ralph. This could be potentially the last game played at now known as Highmark. It's been known as Ralph, the Ralph. I've been there. We'll talk about some memories that I have. I was hoping some of the other guys from our show would be on, but they're all still busy or recovering from New Year's. But hey, and Jake, I know Jake's dealing with a couple sick kiddos, so hopefully they get well soon. But joining me tonight is a gentleman, probably has the best voice in podcasting today, and we love him. He's a Texans fan, so we're gonna, Texans are in the playoffs, so we'll talk a little about the Texans as well. He knows football. Cody, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing fantastic. Glad to kick off the new year in 2026, right? With being on Nickel City Mafia show. Always glad to be here. But yeah, it's a cool spot to be in. I did not think that the Texans at the beginning of this year, after going 0-3, would be in a position where we could be talking about how both of our teams are in the playoffs. So it's a good spot to be. In me and my fantasy football life, we are currently wrapped up now. I don't have any week 18 championships, so it's full NFL now. And then it's going on to prospect season and looking about all these guys who are going to go into the draft and scouting them. And so, football never stops. Football never sleeps. And it's the best thing in, honestly, the world, but it's the best thing in sports for sure. And yeah, glad to be here today talking about it.
Yeah, you were harsh on your Texans earlier in the season. I remember when the Bills were taking them on. You're like, I forget what you said, but you're like, the Bills should win this one by 30 or something.
If they don't win by 20, it's a loss.
You don't win by 20, it's a loss, and we all know how that went down. But yeah, I mean, that defense is just top notch.
Insane.
It is. Insane. Cody, so how was your Christmas? If you celebrate Christmas, how was your New Year's? Anything special you did?
Yeah, not New Year's. We just stayed at home, watched the Stranger Things finale. Got addicted to a new show as well. So I just kind of binge watched a bunch of TV for that. But Christmas time, was able to get back up to Missouri, where the rest of my family is. I'm down here in Texas and Houston, and so made the good 13-hour drive up. Well, the drive up was not great because my dog got sick and got got some of the squirts the morning of. So we made 6 stops in the first 5 hours of that drive and continued to stop about every 1.5 to 2 hours all the way through. So that was fun. But no, it was good. It was good going up there. Good seeing the family as always. And was lucky to get back up there and spend some time with them. But now we're back down here locked in. It's all football.
Yeah, I had some family come down. They're only an hour and a half up north. They were able to make it down. I hadn't seen them in quite some time, so it was good. It was a good day for Christmas. And then New Year's, just hung out, just me and the family, stayed at the house. Been raining a lot here. I love the rain, but yeah, it was fun to stay in. So good stuff there. Ready to get back to it. Ready for this final week of football. So let's talk about final week of regular season football, and let me clarify that. So a couple things. Let me just start with some Bills news, which this just baffles me, and that was Ed Oliver's setback. So Ed Oliver, as you all know, he's been on IR for a while, and for a torn bicep, right? We had heard rumors, or we had hopes that he'd be playing, making the playoffs, be a big add for this Bills defense if he was able to get back. Now, I do think the Bills over the past few weeks have turned the corner a little bit on their defense. They might be getting right at the perfect time. Offense still questionable. We'll talk about that a little bit. But check this out, Cody. So he's He's rehabbing from a torn bicep, and he injures his meniscus. Hopefully, I say that right. And I'm like, what kind of rehab are you doing on your bicep that you injure your meniscus? Now, he underwent minimally invasive surgery on Monday. Sean McDermott says he looks like he's doing well from that. But again, I mean, I don't know what minimally invasive surgery is for a meniscus means. And then you're still dealing with that torn bicep. I don't know if we're going to see Ed Oliver. This just might be a year where it's just not meant for Ed Oliver. We'll see. I don't know, Cody. Do you have any information on meniscus, like minimally surgery? I mean, I don't know how quickly you can recover from such a thing.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing it right now. I'm just going through the X feed, trying to look it up, and yeah, injuring your knee while rehabbing from a torn bicep is certainly strange. I don't know what type of movement. I mean, I don't know if you're just on an elliptical or something and something gets a little bit torn or popped, but at least from what it looks like, it is a scope, which is a minimally invasive surgery. So it's basically just a cleanup. Typically that's like scar tissue or something like that, maybe from a previous injury that had a little bit of a flare up, or maybe it's just a partially torn or something. So it's pretty fixable. It looked like the timeline that I was seeing on it was like 2 to 3 weeks. So that's questionable. Obviously you have to keep winning for that, for Ed Oliver to make his return for the Bills. But if you do keep winning, it definitely looks like he would at least be back for AFC divisional, AFC championship game, somewhere around there. And hopefully that happens. But yeah, that's unfortunate to see that you somehow have to require that surgery after all of this time. You'd think, unless it just happened, you would think that you would have seen that throughout the rehab process and could have addressed it at the same time earlier and been ready for a playoff return.
Yeah, apparently it just happened. So, like literally a week before he had the surgery. So
tough,
pretty crazy. You're like, what have they got them doing over there at the rehab? And he gets injured again. So absolutely crazy there. Cody, you probably didn't hear about this, and this was just national media. Kay Adams, love her show. She had Rob Gronkowski on the show the other day. I'm gonna catch it. And she was asking him, hey, Rob, Rob, obviously being a big time Patriots fan, been on there many, many years, won some Super Bowls. She's like, who do you think they would rather play? And she gave him the option of the Bills, the Texans, or the Chargers. Brad, I see you out there, so I'll join you here shortly. And first of all, he struggles. He's trying to understand what she was asking for. He went like on multiple paths. And she's like, no. I want you to just tell me from hardest to easiest, who you think the Patriots would rather play. So we started with the hardest. Finally got it. He finally got it. It's like, oh, okay. He goes, well, he thinks the Texans would be the hardest. And I don't blame him for saying that. I think the Texans would be the hardest. I don't think they didn't play the Texans this year, did they? I know we did. Did the Patriots play them?
Which team?
Patriots played the Texans. Did they play them this year in regular season? I don't think so.
I don't believe we did. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. But no, I don't believe so. I think we were playing based on seeding for that division. So we played each other, but did not play the Patriots since they finished second to last in their division last season.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, so he says Texans, which I don't blame him. I mean, that defense has been unbelievable. They let me down a little bit in fantasy football. I had them against when they played the Cardinals, and they let McBride go off for a ton of points against them, which I was playing against the guy who had McBride. But other than that, they've been incredible. And so I don't blame him there. Then he said the Chargers. And then he said the Bills, Bills being the easiest. And he said, he had good reasons. Like, look, we went into Buffalo and beat them. We were up 21-0 at home and let them come back. So I can see why he'd feel good about the Bills. The Chargers were interesting. I can't recall if they've played the Chargers at all. But I was thinking about it. I was like, what do you mean the Bills are last? But I understand what he's saying, Cody. Do you agree with this take there? I agree with you 100%. The Texans got to be the hardest. I'd be afraid of the Texans no matter who I am.
I certainly would as a Buffalo Bills fan, especially with the way the last two games have gone, where the Texans have been able to just absolutely feel like lock up Josh Allen almost better than probably any other team in the league over the last two matchups. I mean, the offense has just looked somewhat inept at times, and the pass rush has just gotten to him so badly. So I do think your worst matchup would probably be the Texans, even though I'm a pessimistic fan, and I think we're going to go into every game and lose. So yeah, I would agree with that one, but the Chargers are limping into the playoffs right now, and I would certainly put the Chargers as a more favorable matchup, well above what I would currently do the Buffalo Bills. I know how the matchups have gone, but just looking at where that team is right now with the injuries that they have to the offensive line, the pass game isn't really working off of that. I know they did just get Hampton back as well, but I just don't really have faith in this Chargers team right now. Their defense is still good. It's not to the elite level of like the Texans, in my opinion, but their offense, I just don't have really any faith in to be functional unless you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and that defense on the other side is just so bad that they just bleed points and yards all over the field. So no, I would certainly take the Chargers as the most favorable matchup for me, and then it would be the Bills and then the Texans.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me bring on Brett real quick here. See if we can fit him in there. Hey, Brett, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Got the golden boy from Florida joining us tonight. Looking good.
Sir.
Hope you had a good New Year and a Merry Christmas, Brett.
Oh, I absolutely did. It was the first one for my son, and we had 7 grandparents over at our house. Started cooking at 5:00 in the morning, ate around 8:30, and it was just wonderful. But I hope you guys enjoyed your Christmas too, and had a wonderful New Year.
Yeah, absolutely. We certainly did. So thanks for joining us, Brett. I'm sure you heard in the green room. Hopefully you had a couple good wings. We keep it well stocked in the green room there, and hopefully enjoyed those while you were waiting. But you heard us talking about Gronkowski and him saying that the Bills are the easiest matchup of those 3 teams. I kind of I can't respect his opinion. I can see why he's saying that, but I also, after hearing from Cody, I have to think the Bills would be not the most favorable matchup to New England. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, if the season was to end today, the way the seedings are, I'm looking forward to going to New England. I'm on that train right there because we know them well. They beat us at home. We beat them at home. The rubber match. I love Josh Allen against Drake May, although Drake May is having an MVP season. Last I looked, he's actually the favorite to win the MVP, I believe. Jumped over Stafford after Stafford threw 3 interceptions, and May had a 5-touchdown game. But I like that opportunity. I like that over playing potentially the winner of the Steelers-Ravens match. If the Steelers were to win, I'm cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'd love to go play the Steelers. But the Ravens, heck no, I don't want to play them. I mean, we beat them earlier in the year, first game of the year. And, Lamar coming back. You got King Henry doing his thing. I don't know if I'd like that. So I like where the Bills are right now at 7, having to play 2. But what'd you think of Gronk's comments there?
I didn't really pay attention to his comments. I mean, I understand what you're saying and everything, that maybe Buffalo might be the easiest team to play. But let me tell you this much, okay? It all changes when the playoffs are on the line, okay? And it's a win or go home situation. The Buffalo Bills have been in the playoffs for the last 6 out of 7 years. It's really important to win and have that playoff experience every single time. And you have Josh Allen. That's one of the best quarterbacks on the planet. You're saying to me right now that you want to play Buffalo and Josh Allen in the playoffs when he performs like a Superman every single time that he's out there? You're crazy to say that. I don't think that we're the easiest team to play right now. We haven't played our best football either. That's the other thing. When it comes down to the end of the game and you have to make a play, I want Josh Allen on my team, and I want him to be my quarterback over any other quarterback that's in the playoffs right now. And I would take him over even Lamar Jackson if he gets into the playoffs. I think that Josh is better. He has better experience. He performs elite, as you've seen with New England a couple of years ago. You saw against the Kansas City Chiefs. And even though he hasn't won the big one, his time's coming. He's still 29 years old right now, and this Buffalo Bills team is being slept on right now. And I think that they're going to come out of the gates and they're going to win some big games. And the path to the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills is between guys like Bo Nix, who doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, Drake May, who doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, Justin Herbert, who hasn't done much in the playoffs. And then you have Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson, who Aaron Rodgers has done it, but he's older. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who just can't really win in the playoffs. So, I mean, those numbers I think, are good for Buffalo. Then you have the Houston Texans, who have one of the most elite defenses in the NFL, and that's going to be a tough matchup. But for me, I mean, I think that whoever we go up against, we have a shot at beating just because we have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if actually the best quarterback in the NFL.
I think going in the playoffs, like you look at those AFC teams, I have to agree with you. We got the MVP from last year, and he's definitely, if you look around, he's got the most experience of anybody in the AFC going into the playoffs. Let me throw a question to you, Cody. I mean, the big matchups, a couple of big matchups. All seeds are up for grabs still. Like the 1 through 3 seed, it's up for grabs. The 4th seed, I wanted to ask you this question here, and I'm the 4th seed. It's up for grabs. Winner takes all. Steelers play at home against the Ravens, and again, winner takes that division. They become the 4th seed. Man, that sucks when you are a 4th seed with a very. You'll have a worse record than any one of those wild card teams, which is just insane to me. But it is what it is. I'm feeling for Mike Tomlin here, Cody. I don't know. I'm just starting to get this bad feeling that once again he's not going to make the playoffs. And I don't know if you guys saw a lot on social media, man. I just saw a lot of folks from Pittsburgh saying, all I want for Christmas is Mike Tomlin to be fired. I'm like, come on, please don't put that out there. But Cody, what do you like? What do you think about that matchup, man?
I think it depends how each of these teams play. The Ravens have been, it feels like, reluctant at times to use Derrick Henry in the way that he should be used, where you get, the last game, I think it was the last game that they played where they ran him a career high in yards, and he was able to dominate the game. And that feels like it hasn't been the game plan for them for a large portion of the season, where, in that game that they lost, he wasn't even touching the ball for the last 12 minutes of the 4th quarter here a couple weeks ago. And then Lamar Jackson, even though I do love Lamar Jackson, like right now, he's just not playing well. Like he seems to be very injured, and I don't know what exactly. I think it's an accumulation of injuries that he's picked up throughout the season, and he's even spoken on that a little bit. There's a bunch of rumors out there of him like not having the dedication this year or whatever. I truthfully just think it is injuries probably for him currently right now, but it kind of depends on what Ravens team we get. And then for the Steelers, what do you want to do? Because they literally, that was one of the most pitiful game plans that I've ever seen. They played to not give Myles Garrett the sack record last week.
Yeah.
And that was disgusting. That was disgusting football on both sides of the field. And they lost because of it. And now they have to play the Ravens to get into the championship or to get into the playoffs for it. And was that record really worth it to not have Aaron Rodgers, quote unquote, blemished or have the clip run whenever he gets the sack record? Like, I like how the Steelers team normally operates. It does suck also that big man Mountain Darnell Washington is out with a broken arm, but they have 4 or 5 decent tight ends on that team anyway with the way they play. I would lean if the Steelers played normally, I would give it to the Steelers that they get in over the Ravens, but I just don't know what to expect from them almost week to week anymore. The defense has gotten a little bit better. I'd still lean Steelers because if they're not playing to not give up the sack record, I think they're still the better team overall, as long as they can stop a little bit of Derrick Henry and not allow him for 150 plus rushing yards.
Now, how do you feel about the punctured lung of TJ Watt? I think that plays into the effect of the game plan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because now you have to put Alex Highsmith as your number one rusher. I think that hurts the Steelers right there, and I think that this game favors the Baltimore Ravens right out of the gates.
They certainly have had to, and they've had to adjust to that over the last couple of weeks already, right? While he's been out with that punctured lung, but all signs point to him coming back and playing in this game currently right now. Now, how much does he play? What is the snap percentage? How many rushes does he actually get off? Is he like a third down pass specialist or pass rush specialist only for this game? That's an interesting point. But I mean, it can only help to have TJ Watt back on the field in any capacity. So, I do think it's definitely still a blow, and we'll see how he returns to form. But if I'm going to trust the Watt family that if they're on the field, they're going to absolutely go. So it's still definitely a blow to the team, but I still think that having him back in any capacity is definitely a large bonus.
Yeah, you got to watch the game day temperature too, because I mean, if it's colder out, that punctured lung, you're going to feel that every single snap, and he might not be on the field much too.
So I was going to ask. So you went right into it, Brett. What's the current status on him for this game? Is he questionable? Is he even?
Right now, the Steelers are confident he's going to return from that punctured lung. It's looking like he's excited to play on Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
He's missed the last 3 games recovering from that partially collapsed lung. Says he feels pretty good. He said, honestly, don't know if I could have said that a week ago. Feels confident, ready, like he's going to play, and had a wonderful week of practice. So he was a full participant on Friday for the first time since the injury and doesn't have an injury designation for Sunday's game. So that means he's playing.
Wow. So like you said, Cody, any amount of time from TJ Watt is going to make a huge difference. So that to me is good news for the Steelers. Again, I like Mike Tomlin. I like him. But my goodness, I just feel like how much bad luck is he going to continue to have where these Steelers don't make the playoffs? And I don't know if he can survive another year where they don't make the playoffs. We'll see how that goes. But big game, that's Sunday Night Football. That's a big one to watch. I'll be watching that one. So guys, let's try to break down. We'll talk more Bills in a little bit here as well. Let's try to break down this playoff scenario in the AFC, because I had mentioned all seeds are pretty much open. And let's get into it. So between the first, second, and third seed teams right now, you're talking the Broncos sitting at number 1. You got the Patriots sitting at number 2. And you got the Jaguars sitting at number 3. You didn't mention Trevor Lawrence when you were kind of talking about those quarterbacks. He would be that next guy who probably has the most experience. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers would, of course, and Lamar, one of those two. But either one of those 3 seeds could get the first seed. Now, the Broncos obviously has to lose. The Broncos are in full control, but they have the toughest game of the 3 this week. They play the Chargers. So the Chargers sit at seed number 5 right now. And, Broncos have everything to play for. They want that first week bye. So they lose. I'm sorry, they win. Chargers slip. Bills have an opportunity to go up, and we'll talk about that. Do the Bills, what do we want from the Bills this week? Let's talk about the first 3 seeds. So in order for the Jaguars to move up to number 1, they require, I think, the Broncos and the Patriots to both lose or tie. And then they have to win. I believe that's the scenario here. And what's also crazy is that they can fall. The Jaguars could fall to number 7. This is just crazy stuff, because if they were to lose, they play, who do they play? Tennessee this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, they play Tennessee. Should win that game. If they were to lose and the Texans win, guess what? The Texans now jump into the 3rd seed. How crazy is that, Cody?
We're hoping, but we have a 1% chance of hope there. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to say this too. I've watched Cam Ward the last couple of weeks. He's looking pretty darn good. He's starting to get comfortable in the pocket and, utilizing his legs too. So I wouldn't be shocked if there was an upset. First of all, it's a divisional game. Every single game this weekend is divisional games. They always are close. And you never know with the odds makers and the sports betting world in the NFL and everything. You never know. There's going to be an upset. One game is probably going to be an upset. So it could be the Titans getting that upset and helping you guys out, becoming the number 3 seed.
Would love it, but
you never know.
Very small margins.
Yeah,
you never know, Cody, when a team has nothing to play for. They're playing for their jobs. They're going out there. They can go on 4th down. They can go on 4th down at their own 30. They're going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. There's nothing, you're like, they got 4th and 2. Normally they would punt at their own 30. They might go for it. So that always scares me. But again, it is highly unlikely that the Broncos lose to the Titans. Real quick, let me just say hi to some folks. Bad on me. Tommy from Mafia Sports Report, if you're still out there, thanks for coming out there and saying hi. Happy New Year to you. And yes, please, if you're new to the channel, please drop a nickel on the subscribe button. And hey, if you're watching this, any portion of this, at least smash that like button for us. We greatly appreciate it. We are 35 subs away from 2K. Can we get to the 2K before the season ends? I don't know. We're going to have to put some magical content out there, I guess. It's been pretty hard to get to that 2K mark, with just 35 subs away. So help us out. Appreciate it. Trek Reviewer, he comes in there and says, cut Cam and go get Max Crosby. I did see some talk about the Bills potentially in the offseason going after Max, and they better go after Max. I would love that and make some magic happen there. So more to come on that one. And then, of course, Steve, our steak cook, our top steak cook. Steve, thanks for joining us tonight. He says, if Kincaid is healthy, I do not care who we play or where we play them. In my opinion, he is a stick that stirs the drink 100%. And that's why I want to talk about this week, Steve. Like, if the Bills have an opportunity to move up to 6 or 5, do you want Kincaid playing? Do you want Josh Allen playing? I'm going to come back to that a little bit. And then he also says Pittsburgh will be without Metcalf. And he went for 7 for 140 yards the first game. He will be missed. Let's talk about that for a second, guys. How bad is it that this guy goes over to a fan sitting in the first row and punches the dude? Do either of you have any more information about why he even walked up to this guy, what this guy had been saying to him? And I saw it. I saw the punch, but I don't understand what truly happened to lead up to that. Any of you have any information on that?
I'll pretty much say this about it, and I don't know if it's true. Cody probably knows more than I do on this situation, but from what I understand, this fan was heckling him in Seattle, and that's where it kind of started. And that fan was supposed to be kicked out of the games. He then goes to the Lions game, and that's where it, kind of started and everything. There's some words that DK thought were said, and maybe some name calling, stuff like that, calling him by his whole entire name that he doesn't like. And that's where the punch came from. Now, is that true? It's questionable because there's some audio that was from that section that you could hear. And it doesn't sound like it, but that's speculation. I don't know. So, don't really understand the situation, or do I condone, punching a fan? And the other thing is, where's the security for the Pittsburgh Steelers? You don't put your star player on your offense in that type of situation. There should have been some type of protocol where a security member was near DK and prevented that from happening. So that's on the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit in that situation too, to allow that to happen.
Yeah, just to add on to it, yes, it did sound like this was a, they've had a relationship or whatever. They've had words exchanged before whenever he was still a player at Seattle and Detroit was playing there. And then now you bring that over to the Steelers game whenever it's at the home turf in the Lions Stadium. And the audio from it, yes, it really doesn't sound like he said anything that would have, some of the things that were out there. It doesn't really sound like any of that was actually said. I mean, number one, like DK, you can't go over there. Like, yeah. You can't just go over and then you can't have a physical interaction with the fan. The only thing that I will give a little bit of grace to is like from the secondary angle, he didn't actually really like punch him. It was more of just like a shirt grab and then like a push off. So it wasn't like just a full swing to like his chin or anything, but still, like, you can't do it. At the end of the day, you cannot have that situation happen. You're suspended for the 2 games. You've got freaking Marquez Valdez-Scantling running your routes and trying to catch end zone fades because of it, and your team probably loses because of it, and also that you game planned around not taking a sack to give Myles Garrett the record. So, I mean, he's going to be out again this week. I still think that they can win this game even without him, but it's an obvious detriment. Even though you're getting TJ Watt back, there's other things that I think they can do against the Ravens, but it sucks. Like you just cannot put yourself in the situation that you were in.
Yeah, and it always seems to happen in Detroit. Back in, I think it was 2004, Malice at the Palace. That was the Ron Artest situation. We all remember that game and what happened and led to the suspensions and everything. And then you have this situation inside of Ford Field. It's just, shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be, first of all, anywhere near the fans unless you're giving them a ball, something like that, or, high five, something in celebration. There's no reason why DK is throwing a punch or a slap or whatever the case may be at a fan. Yeah. And that fan should be kicked out of the NFL games. I'm sorry to say that. If there's jawing and everything, that I don't care what the situation is, but that fan has some type of interaction with DK, and the NFL security should go after that and figure out what the situation is and prevent them from even being close to the field.
And he knew exactly what he was doing in that situation too. He literally celebrated after he got like physically assaulted. Technically, is what he's going to see. But he literally went like full arms up, raised, like started celebrating that he got that's what he's there for. Like you also can't have a fan that's doing that. So there's faults on both sides, but obviously the fan has the large majority of upper hand in this situation because the NFL player just has to be better than that. And DK wasn't in that situation.
Yeah. And I think if DK plays that game, they win. Rodgers was looking for that guy in the end zone multiple times. He had Vantes, what is
MVS.
MVS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So MVS. And he was, those are the routes that DK, as you mentioned, would be running, Cody. And there was times where you're like, man, DK comes down with that easily. So they probably lost them. He probably lost them the game last week. And if they lose this week, it's going to be a big reason for that loss as well. Just crazy to me that would happen. Okay, we talked about the Broncos. Broncos win, they're in. They control their own destiny for sure. Obviously, seed number 1. I miss the days where they used to give top 2 seeds a bye. Now it's just that first seed. And so that's a big thing. And so the Broncos, again, they have the toughest of the 3. This could happen. They could lose to the Chargers. Chargers could say, you know what, we're in. Let's get, like you said, Cody, they're a little dinged up. I think Herbert's still playing with a cast on his hand, isn't he? Still, he's been playing through that. But yeah, they might say, hey, let's just let's take a break and give him a rest here. But
Herbert is not going to play in this game. Just so you're aware.
He's already out?
He's already been told that he will not be playing.
Wow.
In this game.
Okay.
The rest of the starters there.
So there you go. Makes the Broncos victory looking that much better. That's crazy. I would think that they would have gone for it, but they're like, we don't care if we sit at number 5 or number 7. So because they can jump down to 7 as far as the Chargers go. Crazy. So let me just say this. So for some of these games here, and of course the Jaguars, they can get number 1 if both the Broncos and Patriots tie or win, and they win their game, which again isn't that difficult. So let's talk about this 1 o'clock Eastern game. So you got the Colts versus the Texans start things off right at 1 o'clock, and then you got the Titans and Jaguars. So we'll know who won that division. It should be the Jaguars. I mean, I'd be shocked if the Titans were to upset them. Never know, and they're both at home. Texans are at home and Jaguars are home. Another reason why I don't think either of them lose that game. And then you got the Chargers at 4:25 p.m. in the afternoon. You got the Chargers playing the Broncos. Now that I know that Herbert's out, gonna be tough to beat. It's gonna be tough to beat the Broncos. Let's be real. It's gonna be tough for them to beat them with Herbert as well. Then you got the Dolphins playing at the Patriots, and then you got the Jets at the Bills. So it looks like to me, obviously, top seed will probably stay the Broncos. Second seed will probably stay the. I don't see Miami having a shot against the Pats. Never know. Again, anything can happen. But I think that they stay at number 2, and I think the Jaguars stay at number 3. So let's talk a little bit about the Bills. If the Bills, all right, let's talk about that. Josh Allen is not. They've not said he's out. He was limited in practice. We know he's been struggling with a ankle injury. I'd love him to get him rest, and I know he's got that streak going on, starting streak. Brett, do you think they just bring him in for 1 snap and they kind of go with the strategy of the Chargers where we're not going to play him, but maybe we'll bring him in, maybe 1 series, maybe just get that first snap so he keeps the streak alive and then hasn't see him exit the field and Mitch comes in? What do you think is going to happen there?
Here's what I see in this scenario, okay? The last game in Highmark Stadium, okay? You have to put Josh Allen on the field for the last game in the stadium. It's so meaningful. But it is going to be the best play of the game. It's going to be a fire drill, okay? You're going to see Josh Allen hand the ball off to James Cook and then immediately exit the field and go over to the sidelines, and Mitch Trubisky comes into the game. Just like you saw in the preseason, they are not going to put Josh Allen in harm's way. They know how much value he brings to this team, and if he gets hurt, we are screwed in the playoffs. So they're going to put him in for that 1 play. And it's going to be the easiest handoff for 4 yards. And James Cook will stay in the game for a couple plays. But Mitch Trubisky comes in. And that's the best thing that the Buffalo Bills can do, because it gives your backup quarterback experience. It gives them an opportunity to be ready in the playoffs. If God forbid something happens. I mean, if Josh goes down, already has an ankle injury, God forbid he goes down, you now have a player that's, got some experience in the last game, meaningful snaps that he probably could use right now. And, it's the Jets. Let's put it that way. It's the Jets look awful. I mean, you're going up against a team that's probably going to fire their head coach at the end of the season.
So let's say this, Brett. So we kind of feel like the Chargers they're resting Herbert. They're saying, look, we don't care. We're good with wherever we fall. If they lose that game, Bills could move up. I do expect the Texans to win, so they can move up to number 5. I don't know if you like that so much, Cody, for your team there. You're number 5. You're now playing either the Steelers or the Ravens. I'll come back to you there in a second. But Brett, let's say the Chargers. Now they all play at the same time, so it's going to be extremely hard. But and again, I do think the Bills can win without Josh. So I agree with you. Get Josh in there, do his one snap, get him the hell out of there, and then let's play Mitch and some backups there. And I feel like the backups could win this game, and they're really not going to be win or lose. If they win, they potentially move up one spot.
Right.
What do you do? I mean, you potentially have a shot to get a playoff game at home. Highly unlikely, though. You'd have to have the 6th and 7th seed somehow make it all the way to the championship game. If it was the 5 seed, I might play a little harder there. If I had a shot to get the 5 seed, so somehow if the Texans were upset by the Colts, which I doubt, but maybe. I mean, of those teams, the Colts are, they're a decent team.
But they're starting Riley Leonard over Philip Rivers.
Yes, it's Riley Leonard and not P. Rivers.
They're just like, sorry, Rivers.
I think from their perspective, like you'd rather see what your rookie can do rather than just throwing out the 44-year-old quarterback again for another game that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And it also probably helps your draft position for next year, even though, well, I guess they don't have their first. And they don't have it for the next year either. But, I mean, it still helps all the other draft positions that you have further down the line. You'd rather see the rookie in a meaningless game than throw out the 44-year-old quarterback who's never going to play a snap in the NFL again.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. So, again, the Bills best could move up a spot to number 5. I'm sorry, to number 6. Which a really good chance, because I do think the Broncos, for all that they're playing for, are going to beat the Chargers. So, Brett, you don't care. 6 or 7 doesn't really matter to you. 7 means we probably go play the Patriots. 6 means we go play the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference for the Buffalo Bills?
Absolutely, I do.
What do you want them to play?
So here's what I think the scenario is going to happen. I think that I don't know if you have your tabs open and everything, but if you go over to ESPN.com and look up the playoff bracket, we can play some trivia on there and see what, suggestions of who wins and everything in the scenario. You can do the simulator and see who we would play.
Oh.
But I think that if the Jaguars win and the Patriots win, I think that the Jaguars move over the New England Patriots, and the New England Patriots would be the 3 seed. Buffalo would be the 6 seed. That scenario I really love, because we've already beaten the New England Patriots once. Probably should have beaten them the first time too, and we'd be in a different ball game here. But I want to play the New England Patriots. I really do. The Jaguars kind of scare me, and I think that if they're the number 2 seed, they play the 7 seed would be the Chargers. Kind of like the Chargers in that matchup a little bit, and then you see where you go from there.
Okay.
So as I have mine built out right now, because I'm also in the same exact playoff machine simulator from ESPN, I've built out all of my projected wins, losses for the Week 18 scenarios. I do have the Patriots winning, and I do have the Jags winning, and that puts the Patriots at the 2 seed and Jacksonville at the 3 seed. I currently have Buffalo at the 6 seed going against Jacksonville, and the LA Chargers against the Patriots as the 7 seed. Now, if the Bills were to lose, then that flips, and the Chargers would play the Jacksonville as the 3 seed, and Buffalo would play New England as the 7th seed.
Okay.
Wow. Do we tank, Brett? Do we throw the game so we can match up against? We'll tell our second stringers. Oh, we're throwing our third stringers. Like, let the Jets win. We want to play the Patriots.
you'll know the scenario before the game starts. So New England plays at 1:00. So you'll kind of have a feeling
I
of
think the
weird.
Patriots play at 4:25. If I'm wrong, if I'm correct.
Let me.
So they play, I think, at the same time. Double check that for me.
Let me just double check that real quick.
They're playing the Dolphins. I believe it's at 4:25, same time the Bills play.
Yes, 4:25. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So
you won't know, but
you won't know, but
I
kind of feel like you have to tank a little bit, and just let the Jets beat you. Do everything you can to just get that 7th seed, and then you play the New England Patriots in their home building and see how it goes. And I think we can beat them. Then you have to go to Denver. That's the only thing that you have to think about in the next scenario. And Denver's defense is pretty darn good. I mean, they can play and they can put up points too. So that's the scenario. But I mean, again, I think that whoever we go up against, I think we have at least a shot, or we're favored in every single matchup. I'm sorry to say that, but Buffalo just hasn't played their best brand of football, and their wide receivers haven't done enough to really stick out. But when you have Josh Allen on the line, I'm putting the ball in his hands, and he's going to run the ball or throw the ball, do whatever he has to do, and he won't make turnovers in the playoffs. That's the thing. He doesn't do that. He doesn't give up the ball. Makes it harder on defenses too. So we'll see. And then you have one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the NFL, besides Jonathan Taylor, on your team. And Jonathan Taylor isn't in the playoffs. So there you go. Yeah. Might have the rushing title this week too.
Yep. Between him and King Henry and
Christian McCaffrey won't have it for rushing yards, but his combined yards of going over 2,000 and 1,000 is still in play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's incredible too. But I mean, for James Cook at the beginning of the season to say that we might have a holdout situation there.
Oh yeah.
To getting the contract right before the season starts and then having 1,700 yards. I mean, that's incredible. Just rushing yards. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I was on one of the shows for one of the conversations about that, of just like, can you replace James Cook if you don't want to pay him the contract? And thank goodness they did, because he's been such an integral part to this team. Like with where the passing game has been kind of on and off, spurty, and doesn't really feel like it has a flow, especially with the Keon Coleman fall off. Like, they needed James Cook to be anywhere near the playoffs this year.
Yeah. And that's what I'm kind of getting at is, you can't have any injuries right now. You look at the laundry list of injuries that the Buffalo Bills have this week, Mike, and you just have to put everybody on the sidelines and say, look, we're playing our practice squad pretty much, and nobody's going to get hurt. So the only other problem is this, Mike, too. We don't have a third string quarterback on our team. Shane Bichelle, who was on the practice squad, is currently on the Kansas City Chiefs roster. So if Mitch gets hurt, Josh Allen has to go into the game.
Interesting. I think they'll do. I mean, they'll work something so that doesn't have to happen. I'd be hard pressed for me to think that they're going to do that and have to force Josh in at all. We'll see what they can do. I don't know, but I would imagine something. I mean, they can put Gilliam as the second quarterback designated.
Well, I think Dawson Knox was the quarterback in high school too. So if you're just going to hand the ball off and kind of play that, Joe Webb type style where it's just going to be handoff after handoff after handoff, like it was in the snow game against the Indianapolis Colts, that's what you have to do is just, put Dawson Knox back there and say, hey, here you go, hand the ball off to whoever is back there.
From an injury standpoint, you kind of mentioned that, Brett, but the Bills are actually looking pretty good. For instance, Bosa was he didn't practice all week, but he's out this week. Let's get him some rest. He played last week. I think this is just more of him getting rest. I'm sorry, that's Bernard. Bernard is out. Bernard did not practice all week. He was hurt last week. Bosa was actually questionable. I think they won't play him. Daquan Jones is out. He didn't practice all week. Let's see. Kincaid is questionable. I would not play Kincaid. Let's get him ready. Like Steve says, let's get him ready for that playoff game. I believe, because let's be real. The Buffalo Bills wide receiver room is a mess. They've been trying to juggle, trying to get it right. They haven't. But one thing they've gotten right is that tight end room. Probably one of the best tight end rooms in the league. And I feel like they're going to lean on them an awful lot during the playoff, which I'm okay with. So let Kincaid rest. I don't want to see him on the field. He shouldn't be on. I want to see him in plain clothes. Don't even dress in a uniform. And then you got Jordan Phillips was questionable, and Jordan Poyer's out. Again, that's probably with a hamstring. So we're not looking too bad from a injury standpoint. And I think most of these are just, let's get them rested up a little bit for that first playoff game. Let me go back real quick to some people here. Catch up. Steve, fans press conference was very plastic as far as being authentic, in my opinion. Can you kind of shed some light? I didn't see this. Fans press conference. What is this? What is this, Brett?
So this is about the DK situation. That fan actually the next day went on TV and did a national press conference and everything.
Okay.
Pretty much, taking his 15 seconds of fame for that situation and seeing what he can get out of it, saying that he's suing the NFL and suing DK Metcalf for throwing a punch and everything. It's kind of a little bit embarrassing and everything, but we'll let the legal side play out and see where it goes.
Yeah. Let's see here. Truck reviewer, what? You don't want a pass rusher, Max Crosby? Is that talking to me? Of course I do. I'd cut a lot of people to get Max. Trust me. Again, this conversation for the offseason, but man, I would love to get Max Crosby. Oh my goodness. And keep Joey Bosa maybe? Ooh. With Rousseau? Let's go. Steve says, Jets will be looking for JE17 to hand off on first snap. Go play action, throw it to deep to Cooks to get a touchdown. The stadium would rock. Dude, that would be so awesome to end it like that. For him to get off the field after a play like that. Look, Cooks is probably, other than Shakir, he's our best wide receiver. We picked this guy off of waivers. That's pretty sad to say for our wide receiver room. And he's the only one who's getting separation. First few weeks, he was dropping beautifully thrown balls, and then he got it together. Had a fantastic game last week, but that would be something, Steve. I could see that happen. Who's this? The Brewers did not look bad at all versus Tampa, and Tampa was playing for their playoff lives. I could see them possibly upsetting the Pats.
That's Quinn Ewers, the quarterback of the Dolphins.
Go KU says, hey guys, in my opinion, the only team that can beat Buffalo, only teams are New England and Houston. New England lost some of their good vibes with the Diggs issue. Let's talk about that for a second. Diggs has been allegedly choked out. One of his cooks, one of his chefs, or somebody that cooks for him. And I don't know. I know the league is looking into it, but could they potentially put him on the commissioner list prior to the playoffs? Cody, you have a thought on that one?
My understanding of it is no. And pretty much all of these situations, they've let the court case play out. Commissioner's exempt is typically in the NFL more used for like domestic disputes, stuff like that. Now, this definitely could fall under it. I just personally don't see it happening in past situations, even domestic ones. I think they've let this play out in the court system, let the player play, and then the suspension comes after everything else comes out. So I don't see any situation where either Diggs or I forget what the name of the player is on the defensive side of the ball who was also involved in some other situation recently that was in the press for a situation that happened back last year and then was brought in like February. There was another situation with the Patriots of a player. So I don't think either of those guys will be out anytime during the playoff run. Not to take away from the seriousness of them, but the legal system can be altered for the benefit of the players. And it probably will be to where they don't face anything this year while they're in a playoff run.
Yeah, the biggest thing on this situation is, number one, the evidence. There's hearsay in this situation, but there's not video evidence of what happened in the scenario. That's why I think that the legal issue has to be resolved and has to go to court. They have to find, Diggs guilty in this situation, but I don't think that he's going to miss any games. I think that the earliest that we could see is the offseason that happens, and maybe he misses, 4 games for conduct detrimental to the team. That might be something, or, it's a domestic type of issue, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think he's going to miss any of the playoffs this year.
Either way, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty. We know that better than anyone. We lost a punter to the Chiefs because, our punter, the punt god, was had some accusations going against him, wasn't looking good, and lo and behold, he gets off innocent and he signs with the Chiefs. My goodness. So innocent until proven guilty. But let's just say this. If he is guilty, if he did do it, karma will catch up to him. Karma will play a factor for sure. Record viewer, can McCole Hardman play QB? Of course. I bet you know who can? I bet you who would be the second guy that they bring in if Mitch was hurt? Ray Davis. Ray Davis kicks field goals. He returns kicks for us. That dude could hand off. Can you imagine him handing off to another running back of ours just all game? He probably can throw a pass as well. I would bet you he could. So I'm sure somebody could. I just don't see it, Brett. I don't know how the ways they can do it, but they're not going to have Josh be that guy that has to come in. I don't think so.
I think, like I said, I think they'll do anything. They'll be creative and everything.
Yeah.
They pretty much want to lose this game, in my opinion, just because, it screws the Jets over. And that's one of your division rivals. You can screw them over and you can make them have a couple picks later in the draft. That's my opinion. Do that. And they did it. I think it was last year they did that, where they were going for like one of the top seeds. And they just said, screw it. We're going to do everything we can to screw the Jets over and make them like the number 7 pick or something like that. And it worked. So lose the game and do what you have to do.
Yeah, I love this trick. So imagine Joey Bosa, Max Crosby, Groot, and Trey Henderson coming off the edge. Why doesn't football do something like this, Cody? You know how LeBron, he got his friends, he called them up and, hey, let's go win some championships. Let's all go over to what was the team they went for? I can't
Miami
think
Heat.
of it. Miami Heat. They go to Miami Heat. And we've seen that. We saw that happening even beyond that, not with just LeBron, but other players looking for championships.
Yeah.
Dude. Could you ever see this happening, Cody? Could you ever see somebody saying, guys, you imagine the 4 of us? Like, let's say it was Bosa or who. I think Max would have the most influence, obviously. He's that guy who would be like, dude, you see this happen and imagine the 4 of us. All it would take is this. Cody, you ever see something like that happen in the NFL? It should.
No, it shouldn't, because the NFL isn't a garbage league. The NFL isn't a garbage league like the NBA, where we actually have a salary cap in place and we don't just pander to the audience of players over teams. No, the NBA is all about individual players over the actual brand of the teams anymore at this point, and I cannot stand the NBA for that. And it would never fly in the NFL. You have minimums and maximums of the salary cap, and they are hard. And every league, also the MLB, can go screw off with all of their deferred $1 billion that exists on the Dodgers salary cap system. Play within the rules of the system. You got the NHL that brings players back on the playoff run because it doesn't count to their cap, and then they can just put them on IR and bring them back. I mean, every league salary cap should follow the NFL salary cap because it creates a much more parity-based, pure form of the sport, and you don't have all of these major markets dominating everything. It's why the Bills can do what they do. It's why all of these teams like the Jaguars within a year can rebuild themselves and get into the playoffs. This is why the NFL is beautiful. And as cool as it would be, it's bad for the NFL if it happens.
Absolutely. I mean, I think back to a couple of years ago, and I go with the Bucks and what they did to kind of like bring everybody in to help Tom Brady when he came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it reminds me of that. But I mean, it wasn't a situation where it was like the LA Dodgers, where you're paying Ohtani pretty much all the commercials that he has right now. And, you're deferring that payment. You're not doing like a Bobby Bonilla type situation where the deferred payment is for 35 years and they're getting, the contract would be, $400 million. And now you're getting $1 billion off of that deal. It's just not the way that the NFL works. And that's the beauty of it, is any given Sunday, anybody can win. And, you can't have a pretty much a eye to who's going to win. But you look at the NBA, OKC right now, they're 27-3 or something like that. And, it's crazy to think about that. You can bet on them every single week and say, hey, they're going to win. But the NFL, you can't do that. That's the beauty of the sport. And you can't sandbag, or you can't, stack your team. You have to have the players under the salary cap, and everybody gets to spend a certain amount. And then next year it changes, and you could be one of the worst teams in the NFL too.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Tampa because you can kind of see a little similarity to what we're talking about there with them bringing in Gronkowski. And I'll bet you, I know they reached out to Edelman. I'm pretty sure they did. Did they not, Cody? And I forget why he didn't.
I have nothing to confirm or deny, but I think the rumor is out there. Yes.
Yeah. The rumor is definitely out there.
Well, he had a knee injury at that point, and
maybe
I think he was coming off of an ACL injury, and he's just like, okay, I'm 34 or 35 years old at the time, and just, what's the point in doing this? I've already won a couple of rings, and I think that the Patriots did win the Super Bowl that past season. I think that he was there. No, I don't think he did.
No, not season.
No, they didn't. But the season before they did. So it's just like, why do it, and why go to another team when you're rehabbing this injury and trying to do it all over again and start something new? But you never know. I mean, they brought in talent all over the place. They had they got Leonard Fournette that was with them, and they stacked that whole entire offense with guys like Antonio Brown was there, and it's just crazy what they did with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and everybody else. They just had a ton of talent.
I mean, heck, I'm even wearing the shirt. They even reached out to Pat McAfee because it was COVID season and their punter went down from COVID, and they reached out to McAfee to try to go punt for him. And he said he would, except he wouldn't pass the drug test.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
I think they also reached out to Josh Gordon at the time. I don't know if you remember this, but Josh Gordon said, I'm not going to pass the drug test either. So I mean, they're just trying to stack that team as much as they could to win that Super Bowl and bring it home. And it's nuts.
I don't know, Cody. I'm desperate for a Super Bowl. I wish this could happen somehow. I could see Max saying, look, guys, let's restructure our contract. We'll take bare minimum this year. We'll figure that out down the line. What's more important? We got enough money to live off of. What's more important? Get a Super Bowl or money? Of course, I'll take the money, and I don't blame them. But
it's not even just the individual players; it's the NFLPA will come after them for it.
Yeah.
Because the NFLPA has to maintain the level of contracts keep going up, so that way whenever players get re-signed the next years as the salary cap goes up, you have to keep adjusting the contracts up with them. So they can't force them to not take like minimum salary contracts, but they can basically have enough influence to tell them that you can't take that contract because it affects everybody else in the league negatively.
Yeah, there's a certain amount, like Tom Brady did it throughout his career where he took less money, but it was to the T of what the legal amount that you could do at that time is. And I mean, imagine like Josh Allen playing for like $2 million. That's never going to happen, unless he's 500 years old and, about ready to pass away, and he's just handing the ball off to, my great grandkid, It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry to say that.
You guys are party poopers. You're really not my party, man. I don't like it.
I mean, it'd be cool though. It really would.
Be cool.
It's not going to happen.
Yes. Well, all right. So let's go. I want to go down the AFC. This is on ESPN for those that want to check it out. I want to get the panel's thoughts here and maybe who the Bills could match up really well based on who ESPN think is the weakness of each of these playoff teams. So we'll say either you agree with that, and let's say if that's a good matchup for Buffalo. So first, Denver Broncos. ESPN says they have their biggest concern is defending the slot receiver. Unfortunately, Bills don't really have a good slot receiver. I mean, I wish they would have had. If you're going to say Shakir, like, come on, man. Everyone.
Listen,
all right. Shakir's
he's
okay.
called the slot receiver.
All right. Right. Yeah. But he really, I mean, Coleman was meant for that role, and they just don't use him that way. Gabe Davis. I mean, we don't have a good slot receiver. Yes, Shakir is good. I get it. He's our top receiver. But
the biggest thing I will say to that, Mike, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, buddy, but Bradley Roby is their nickel cornerback, and I think that he is one of, at times, the best nickel cornerbacks, and at times one of the worst, because he tries to do so much, and he has so many penalties too against him. So if you're putting Khalil Shakir up against him, you can utilize him by, first of all, his tackle ability for Bradley Roby is pretty poor. So you can break tackles off of him, get big plays, go down the field, and use that middle of the field that Josh Allen loves to do. And I think that's a really good area of a mismatch between Josh Allen and Shakir over Bradley Roby. So, I mean, I like that right there.
Okay. Steve says he likes Kincaid against Denver. And again, Steve, I'm with you. I mean, we're going to have to rely on this tight end. It's going to have to be the Knox, Kincaid, and Haas show in the playoffs. 100%. I think they're going to lean on these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, for Denver, I would just say that I wouldn't agree with Sidecar. I would just say that there's the up and down of Bo Nix still. Like there's times where he looks like a top 10 quarterback in the league, and there's times he looks bottom 10. And we've seen it come alive in a fourth quarter comeback win, but I have yet to see a complete full game out of Bo Nix. So it's just what do you get game to game, quarter to quarter, snap to snap from Bo Nix. I have some questions about that still.
And on the defensive side of the ball too, Pat Surtain is, regarded as one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. At times he's susceptible to penalties too. He has a lot of pass interferences this season. And when you have guys like Brandon Cooks that are one of the fastest in the NFL going up against him, I mean, he might have a couple holds in the game and you're moving the ball down the field because of that. So, I like the way that Buffalo can match up against them. They can utilize the 12 personnel. It would be tough. It's any opponent that you're going to face is going to be tough. But like I said, the experience in the playoffs with Josh Allen, that's the biggest thing that you have there as an advantage. And, you have one of the best run games in the NFL too. So,
yeah. What I like about the Bills here, their Bills' chances is that they're that team that can play in any weather. Like, I don't have a problem with them going to Denver in the cold. Heck no. Actually, I would prefer that probably. Let's let Bo Nix try to beat Josh Allen in a game like that. We can play in good weather as well. So Bills are one of the few teams that can play in both. I mean, you got the Broncos, who you could say that about. You got the Patriots. You say that about against the quarterbacks. By the way, the quarterback, the weakness that they say for New England is Drake May after his first read. Like, he's just not good getting through his reads. I don't know. I mean, I've seen him. I haven't watched him extensively, but would you agree with that, Cody? Because I know you watch this a little bit more than I do. Do you think he has struggles past that first read?
I don't break down film to the point of like past first read or anything. Quarterback is extremely hard to kind of like pinpoint exactly where they are. So I'm assuming whoever did this has a little bit more like actual game film, all 22, than I have access to diagnose that. However, I mean, just with how I know their schedule and I know they're playing against the 32nd ranked, teams throughout the year, but it is hard to do what he has done this year in terms of just efficiencies from almost every single statistic. I don't care if it's first read, second read, third read. He has done so well with this offense that I can't believe myself personally, having not watched game film like that, that it's just all first basis. Like, there has to be something better that they have played against that I wouldn't consider that to be their one weakness. I would put that more on the defense than I would on anything that this offense is currently doing because they've been so good. I would probably put it, if you wanted to ding Drake May for anything, I think you would say, like what we said earlier, if he just hasn't had the experience of being in an NFL playoff situation yet.
Yeah. So the back there, what they're saying there, he says on first read throws, May ranks 5th in DVOA. However, if he has to go to a later read, he drops to 22nd. But then they follow up and say the problem is getting him off his first read. May's one of the best league's best quarterbacks against the blitz. So, of course, he can run as well. So, I don't know. I feel like they're reaching on that one. But again, I agree with you guys. It's the experience, right?
Yeah.
So far, he seems pretty good in some big games. But, playoffs is a whole different thing. We'll see.
The other thing about the New England Patriots, Mike, that I want to add before you move on to another team is they have Josh McDaniels, one of the most elite single callers and play callers for an offense there that has all the experience in the Super Bowls and can coach Drake May through the struggles that he might have in the playoffs. That's a lot of advantage for the New England Patriots too. And going back to something that you said, Mike, was about the Buffalo Bills. We can adapt our game to whatever conditions that you said. If the run game isn't working, we can go to the pass game and we can utilize the tight ends. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that are just one-dimensional, but the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams that you can be two-dimensional in the playoffs.
Yeah. Then I see the Bills. Guess what you think they say about the Bills' biggest weakness? Can anyone guess?
Run defense.
Run D.
Run D. Exactly. Now, as I said at the top of the show, I do feel the Bills' defense is starting to get right going into the playoffs. So that's really good news for the Bills. But yes, the run defense has been our weakness. Our secondary is one of the best. It's one of the best in the league trying to throw against us. Now that might be skewed a little bit because you can run so good against us. So of course you're not going to pass against us. But
Right.
I do love our cornerbacks. I love our secondary has been playing extremely well. Benford's been amazing. Tre'Davious White, I mean, I was like, why are we signing this dude? But he's been playing some really good football. And then we got Maxwell Hairston, the rookie, who's really come on. Cole Bishop's been incredible since Jordan Poyer's joined the team. I think Poyer helped him get over that hurdle. Cole Bishop's been next level. And then, of course, Poyer's out this week. But even Poyer playing, it's been fantastic. So our secondary, I'm good with. Our linebackers are starting to really start to play some ball. You've got Shaq. Is it Shaq Thompson? Yeah.
Yep.
Shaq Thompson and Matt Milano. Matt Milano over the past 3 weeks is starting to finally feels like he's getting back to the old Milano. Yeah. Now, of course, Milano's also looking for a contract, big contract. So, of course, turn that switch, start playing big at the end of the year. Shaq Thompson's definitely been a key. We thought he was going to miss last week after having kind of a little bit of a stinger or a neck injury in the week before, but he didn't. He was out there. When he's out there, the linebacking core, and then Dorian Williams, and you got Bernard. Bernard seems to get hurt almost every game these days, but the linebackers I'm feeling good about. So good stuff there. We'll see. Have they righted the ship somewhat against that run game?
I think the biggest thing, Mike, real quick, is the depth of the Buffalo Bills compared to the past couple of years. Every time that we go into the playoffs is that we lose our depth pieces. And you go back to the Kansas City Chiefs game, I think it was last year, and our secondary was destroyed. Our defensive line was hurt. Linebackers, were dismal. And I remember a couple of seasons ago, we had to start AJ Klein coming off of the couch in Key West. That's the scenario. But this year, it feels like we have the depth pieces. We have guys on the practice squad that we can call up, and Shaq Lawson and Matthew Judon there. So why not make a run with this defense? And we played really good against Saquon Barkley last week, limiting him to under 80 yards. That's incredible for the Buffalo Bills. Statistics right there show that the Bills defense in the rush game, we can stop them. One of the best in the NFL, and we stop Saquon. I think we're fine.
Yep. I agree. So, Cody, this one's for you. This is the Texans and what they think their weakness is. And I'm going to let you say it because you know this.
Offensive line and run game.
I
would assume that one form of that, which both are attributed to each other, is the weakness of that team.
Yeah, so you say that, and I think you've been saying that all year. I think you even said preseason that was going to be your biggest problem. I don't know. They're somehow getting past that and winning games. They've been how many games have they won in a row?
After going 0-3, I believe they are now 9-2.
10-2.
Yeah,
10-2.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: the Bills didn't seem to be able to take advantage of that offensive line when we played. It really didn't. But I do feel like the Bills have been playing a lot better football. They've been blitzing more. They've been, just changing some things up. And you know what? I would love another matchup. Because I know for sure they would not do what they did the first game and not give, our tackles help on the outside against those two incredible rushers. I mean, that was just insane that we weren't giving our guys help. Even when we brought in, who was it on the right side there? Our tackle there. Brett, help me out.
Vandermark.
Who? No, that was who came in. But the starting right tackle.
Oh, Spencer Brown.
Spencer Brown got hurt in that game. He tried to stay in. He obviously needed some assistance over there, get some help, get somebody to chip those edge rushers. And then Vandermark came in, and they still didn't seem to want to give a lot of help, which was absolutely crazy. But Cody, we're ready for you round 2, man. Let's make this happen.
I hope it happens just for content purposes.
Yeah, it won't happen. I mean, we probably would have to get to. I mean, because we're both. there's a slight chance you win the 3rd seed, but it's highly unlikely. So you're going to be most likely the 5th or 6th seed.
It most likely have to be AFC divisional game or AFC championship
at
game.
least for sure.
So probably unlikely, but I'd still feel good about it if we went into that matchup because just of how good that defense is. The offensive line thankfully has come together a lot better over the past couple of weeks, especially since CJ has come back off of injury. And I mean, even during that time that Davis Mills was in for a 3-game stretch, it was starting to turn there. And then Nick Chubb goes down, and now we're left with Woody Marks. And I have my complaints about Woody Marks, but he's definitely more explosive than Nick Chubb is in the running game. So there's at least a little bit of positive there. So I like the Texans and I like where they're at. They definitely do still have weaknesses on that offense, though. The offensive line, while it's gotten better, is still probably bottom half in the league. The run game with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb banged up right now is still probably bottom half in the league. So they have their weaknesses, but that defense can carry this team to any win that they want if they play the level of football that they can.
Yeah, losing Joe Mixon at the beginning of the season and not even playing this year, that really hurt the Texans. And he did so much, not only in the run game, but he does so much in the pass game. And as far as, being a blocker for CJ Stroud or being that reliable target that you can, have out of the backfield and can run swing passes there's so much that he can do. And it just hurts the Houston Texans and what they could have accomplished in the run game.
Yeah, and I had unreliable information, but I had information that Joe Mixon was going to be out for the entire year at the beginning of the season. So I had no hope that he was going to come back. Unfortunately, that's played to fruition. But yes, Joe Mixon would have been a massive additive to this team if he were healthy.
Yeah. So Steve has a point about Stroud here. What's your analysis been of Stroud? He seems to obviously have regressed from season 1, but and he has some nice weapons around him as far as receiving weapons go. Is it really that offensive line that's making him look bad, or not looking bad? They're winning games, or is it the offensive line that's caused the regression, or is it him in some way?
I think it was last year's regression of the offensive line in general that's really hurt him. Because he in that first year, and granted, I mean, you're a bottom ranked team at that point. You're playing a much easier schedule, and then we've seen this time and time again with a lot of these teams. It's kind of like what the New England Patriots are potentially going through right now. It was what Jaden Daniels went through this year, even though a lot of his was attributed to injury. You're a last place team in your division, and then you go and you play a very easy schedule that next year, and then you vault up into the playoffs. You're playing a first place schedule the next year, and then you regress back down to a little bit more of the median or a little bit more of the mean from where you were at the very top. But I think the offensive line struggles of last year really affected CJ Stroud, where there was a lot of pocket presence that he had in that rookie year, where after he got sacked so many times and he just had constant pressure in his face, feels like to me, just watching as not a quarterback guru or anything, but just watching him in the pocket has really struggled to keep at times a lot of that pocket presence that he really seemed to operate with in the first year. And just because of the pressure that he was dealing with in the second year has trickled over into the third year. Now, there are still those times, and I think he's gotten a lot better with it, especially after he came back off that injury, of playing within the pocket, playing with presence and staying in the pocket and pushing up in the pocket and not letting all of that pressure affect him as much. But I think that's where a lot of the problems came with him, was just how much he got beaten and battered in the second year that's attributed over to the third year.
Makes sense. Are you concerned about him going to any of these cold weather teams to play playoff games?
He's an Ohio State kid, right? I mean, okay. I'm not really worried about the weather. He's played in those conditions before. I'm not really worried about the weather. Obviously, he's now Houston Texans dome kid, but no, I would worry more about other players on the team than I would CJ Stroud playing in cold weather.
All right, I forgot he played there. B-Bake says, sometimes I feel like the Texans should request to start the drive on 3rd and 12 just so we can get the negative 2-yard run and throw directly out of bounds. Out of the way.
There's a lot of people who do not love the Nick Caley hire in Houston and want to see another replacement after Bobby Slowick got kicked out. There's a lot of the same things that seem to happen with both of those offensive coordinators, but We'll see. I personally have thought that the progression of the offensive line and how this offense has gone forward deserves him to be around another year. But I understand where he's coming from, because there are a lot of times that we just feel like there's another one of those 3 and outs, and we're just wasting away that drive again.
Yeah. Be big. If you haven't already, smash that like button for us. You've been on the show. You got to give us the love. By the way, reminder for anyone, smash that like button for us. Drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We are 35 subs away from 2,000. Can we get there? Can you help us get there? Share. Let folks know about us. Come on. Got some great content here. We got some nice people here. We love our Buffalo Bills. And, I hope most of you, if you didn't get to see our holiday show, it was fantastic. So, where we give back to people. So join us. Don't be disappointed. I wouldn't want to play. I don't care what team you are right now. I'd be afraid to play the Texans. Just saying that right now. Another team that I also would be incredibly scared to play, which the Bills could be matching up against, is the Jaguars. But ESPN says that their weakness is their run game. So I like that matchup. If that is true, Buffalo can shut down. Now I know Trevor Lawrence has been running a lot more than he has in the past, which has definitely been helping them. But the rest of the run game's been struggling. And again, the Bills getting right at the right time. We slow that down. I'm not worried about them being able to pass the ball on us. So I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts there, Brett, on Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's a team that has a lot of different weapons for Trevor Lawrence. You have Jacoby Myers that was acquired at the trade deadline. They did a wonderful job of bringing him in and utilizing him. And then you have Brian Thomas Jr., who had a little bit of a regression in year 2. And, he's pretty much, doing what he can. But this defense of the Jaguars is pretty good too. And I think that number one, they're going to be a team that you can, have a tough time in the playoffs against.
Yeah, totally agree there. Let's see here. We got B-Big coming back in. He says additional weakness for the Jags is 19-point lead in the fourth quarter and Davis Mills. Steve says many do not want to critique JA-17, but last year he threw the ball away 24 times compared to 6 times this year. Sacks and turnovers are both up. JA-17 need to revert back to his 2024 habits. Steve, that's a great point. He was definitely critiqued last. It was all over the big media channels, even inside local to the Bills Mafias. Josh had a chance to win that game. It was a for us, we can all say a wide open Khalil Shakir should have been an easy throw for any quarterback. We're not in that game at that point in time. But for Josh Allen MVP, you got to make that play. He also had a turnover in that game that led to the Eagles' first touchdown, their only touchdown. Again, that cost us a game. And then that just crazy, which he's done this a couple times this season, where he starts to get out of trouble and instead of throwing it away, spins and tries to go back about another 20 yards. And, these defenses are fast. Nobody's going to get fooled with that. Yeah. Once in a blue moon, maybe 1 out of 50 times or 1 out of 99 times, he makes that happen. And then it looks fantastic. Rest of the time, not so much. So, yes, I agree with you, Steve. It does feel weird. Like people hold him to a slightly different standard than others. I've seen that all over the media as well. But we'll see. I hope that motivates him. I know Josh Allen probably has various things that motivate him. He's very competitive, but I can tell you that he wants this badly, as bad as anyone. So I think he'll take that and be like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. If that happens again, I have a wide open Khalil Shakir. I am taking that. I am making that pass all day long.
You got to
get him rested. Get him rested.
Yeah, this is the most wide open that the AFC will ever be for Josh Allen. Yeah. You don't have Patrick Mahomes out there. You don't have, potentially, some of the other elite quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson might not make it to the playoffs. This is a clear path that if Josh Allen goes in there and plays the way that Josh Allen does every single time, that he's coming home with his first, Lombardi trophy, and the city of Buffalo is going to be partying, and I can't wait for that day. God willing, I'm alive to be there for that. But, the path is there. We can do it. It's just whether the team can step up and do that. And I do think that we have the pieces, and maybe we're being a little complacent and not showing our cards. Maybe Joe Brady has some stuff up his sleeve that is coming up, and hopefully it's an end around too.
Weston always said that. Like, Weston's in the thread right now in the chat. He's a Chiefs fan. He's always like, yeah, we're holding back. We're not showing all our cards. And I never was a believer of that. I'm not. So I'm like, what is Brady going to have up his sleeve? I know for Brady, I feel like there's probably a lot up his sleeve because we run a very basic offense. It feels like obviously it's not producing the way we want it to, especially on the passing game. It's great on the run game. But I don't know, Brett. We'll see. Might have a lot of things he could try, but please no end arounds. Please no, please none of those.
Well, Elijah Moore's not on the team.
A screen pass to Shakir. Please stop it. Everybody knows. Keep an eye on Shakir. Josh is going to drop back and throw that over to him. It's not working these days. Stop throwing that pass. Either Josh throws it and it's incomplete, or they're all over Shakir. He's getting killed sometimes lately. Insane.
So let me ask you, Mike, real quick. I'm sorry. I know you're trying to run the show, buddy, and I feel bad for bringing up questions. But but what do you think about bringing Brandon Cooks in on screens and just throwing one to him, seeing what he can do? He has the yards.
Change it up. Change it to somebody else. I agree. He's got the speed. He's like Shakir, built wise. So yeah, switch it up a little bit because they're keying on Shakir right now. Man, I'm just tired of that play because it just feels like defenses are all over it, and the defenses are too fast. They're reading it pretty quickly. Even though Josh just takes a step back, throws it, they're on it. It feels like. John Roberts says Khalil Shakir has an incentive in Week 18. One more touchdown, he gets an extra $100,000. Oh boy, I'll tell you what, John, that's a tough one. I mean, I think early on they might give him that shot, but he's another guy I want him to rest. I do not need him getting dinged up. I don't need any of our starters. So that's a tough one. Maybe Josh to Shakir, first play of the game, and they both go sit. Just throw the deep ball. We don't see. That's one thing we don't see a lot. Shakir never runs that deep post pattern. Never. Like to see it. John says Eagles didn't even score in the second half. Yeah, I mean, dude, shut down Hurts. Just shut down the run game. Fantastic. I love Tyrell Shavers. Again, he's been get him more involved. Big receiver. Utilize him. He is what Coleman should have been, is what it's turning out to be. And then, yes, Brandon Cooks is finally catching balls. I missed it the first 2 weeks. I don't know what happened. He's been in the league a long time. Maybe it's just getting used to how Josh throws the ball. And then Steve says, Indiana runs great tunnel screen and use it a ton of versus Alabama. Hopefully Brady was watching. So talk to me. Anyone know about this tunnel screen that Indiana runs, and tell me a little bit more about it?
Outside of my jurisdiction, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think those work a lot more at the college level whenever you can split out wide and not play with the speed that the NFL has. And with, weirdly to say, the talent that Indiana has, even though a lot of those guys are JMU guys, and pretty much JMU is running the table in college football right now. I think that type of play works a lot better at the college level than it does the NFL level.
Yeah. But who knows? You can throw an offensive line out wide, and you can throw a fade to him, and he'll make a play. And he would have been Buffalo's best, wide receiver this year if he would have done that. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, Mike.
No, sorry, I was letting you talk and looking at my next topic here. So sorry, you caught me off guard there.
Cody Ford.
Oh yeah.
Touchdown pass last week.
I did see that. Yep.
So would have been the only player on the Buffalo Bills to catch a touchdown on his birthday, too.
All right, well, let's finish through these playoff teams and what their weaknesses is. The Chargers, they say, is covering tight ends. I'll take that all day. Let's go. That's where I think the Bills are going to lean on heavily in the playoffs is utilizing our tight ends. So let's go. The Chargers ranked just 27th in DVOA against tight ends and has not improved in recent weeks. So let's go. I like our odds there. Of course, the Bills and most likely the Bills and the Chargers will be 6 or 7. They're going to be one of the two. And so for us to even match up against that team would have to be late. 6-7. How did that work out, right? 6-7. My God, I don't even know how that's become a thing. I seriously don't know. What the hell?
I gave you a free pass on the first one, okay? You said it earlier in the show, and I'm like, okay, we're already an hour and a half in.
I thought the 6-7 thing was something just local out here. I guess it's
Oh,
all over the country.
Dude.
No, it is.
Oh, it's all across the country.
It is worldwide phenomenon of useless garbage.
I don't understand it at all.
All I remember was seeing a women's basketball game, and the head coach of the women's basketball team, I think it was like they had 64 points, and they were shooting 3 free throws, and the coach kept saying to the players, she said, make sure that you make all 3, otherwise these fans are going to hate you for the rest of your life. And sure enough, she made all 3 of them, and then she called a timeout and let the crowd go crazy.
Love it. All right, so the Chargers, again, we probably wouldn't play them to a divisional round if that, or a championship game, if we are able to make it there. B-Bake, I'm not even going to repeat this because I don't want to go there again, but
I'm sorry. That's left for 2026 going into 2027.
Okay.
Oh, I got that.
I don't get it. Explain it to me.
It's what I've heard is there's literally no meaning, or it just means mid of a 6 to 7 ranking on a scale to 10. Those are the only 2 explanations that I've heard.
Gotcha. All right. So if the Ravens were to make it, their weakness is their passing game in the red zone. Kind of already know. We've played Lamar now twice in the playoffs, beat him both times. This is a team I don't want to play. I don't want to play them because you play a team like this with enough quality players like they have, and they went through their share of injuries all season long. They're starting to get healthy, and if Lamar is going to play for sure, not only in this game, and if they happen to win, they take the 4th seed, and Buffalo potentially would have to go play them. Again, that's one team I don't want to play right now. King Henry's just rolling. This would be their opportunity to kind of get even with us with that first game that they should have won. Through some amazing things and some things that transpired in that game, the Bills were able to win it. But so there's a team there. And let's see here. Steelers, their dependence on the short passes. That's their weakness, according to ESPN. They have to throw the short pass. And of course, the run game's pretty good, though. But dependence on the short pass. Cody, you kind of like stood up on that. Do you disagree with that one?
Their offense is disgusting. I mean, I love it. I love it because I love Arthur Smith, while everybody else in the NFL hates him. I think he is pulling the most out of this offense that any offense in the league is pulling. Like, what you're getting out of this short pass game where Aaron Rodgers is literally just like 3 to 5 step drop, immediately throw it out. It's pretty incredible, but everybody hates it because it looks freaking disgusting, and it is disgusting on paper. But it works, and they're currently matriculating the ball down the field. And then while they have DK Metcalf on the field, especially for, if they make the playoffs here after this game, then you have those like 5 attempts a game that are just DK Metcalf deep balls, and Aaron Rodgers can still throw the ball deep. He just doesn't want to right now. But what you're getting out of this offense, I do think is good. But yes, it is all short game stuff, and they have no vertical deep threat except for 4 to 5 shots to DK Metcalf a game. So how can your offense really sustain through that? I don't think it's enough to sustain through the playoffs, but I think it's all that they can really do right now.
Yeah.
I disagree with what they're saying there. I think that the biggest weakness for the Steelers is another weapon outside of DK Metcalf. I mean,
it's that they don't have a deep game. Yeah. Like, they don't have a deep game, and they have to rely on the short game pass. Yeah.
I mean, they just don't have another weapon. That's the biggest thing. And you look at what they were trying to do in the offseason by bringing in somebody else to match up against DK. And they should have had another guy in George Pickens to be that number 2 there. And if they did, I mean, good Lord, what they could have been. But they just don't have that weapon. It's insane to me. But, we'll see what happens between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers and who gets into the playoffs. But the one player you didn't mention for the Baltimore Ravens, Mike, that I have to mention is every time that we play him, DeAndre Hopkins has his best game against the Buffalo Bills and makes a play that we've never seen before. I mean, you look at the week 1, what he did on the catch. And then you look at the Arizona Cardinals game and that Hail Murray play.
Yeah.
I don't want to see DeAndre Hopkins out there on the field against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they have a lot of good. They have a lot of playmakers, a lot of good talent. Mark Andrews sure wants his shot again against Buffalo. He wants to redeem himself for that dropped pass last year and the fumble as well. So again, that's the team I want to see. Maybe if we get past the first round, I want to see them. Now, the Buffalo Bills, the Texans, if they're in the, if they don't win their division, which probably not going to. 3 games on the road, most likely, for either of those teams to get to the Super Bowl. I do know, I can't recall in history, I do know there's been a 7 seed that has won the Super Bowl, pretty sure. Not many.
Yeah.
But to go on the road 3 times, I would say is highly unlikely for the Buffalo Bills. However, with this year, with it being so open, with there being so many quarterbacks who are young and inexperienced, I think it's a higher probability this year than it would have been in the past. I do think the Bills, again, because they have a great run. You have a great run game, you can play in any weather. And they are a team that obviously we know they thrive in the snow. They can play in the warm. We're not talking Miami weather anywhere right now at this point in time where we're going to be suffering from 110 degrees and, everyone's going to be gassing out at the end. We're not talking about that, but this team can play in any type of weather condition. And, Broncos, good team, great year. Like you said, Cody, Bo Nix, don't know, still a young guy. Drake May, he probably if he has a decent game tomorrow, may win the MVP. He's the favorite right now. And it'd be a shocker if he did it, but he looks like he's on path to do that. But so 3 games on the road, hard to do. But if you're going to do it any year, it's this year. Because you have no Pat Mahomes, potentially no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. Come on now. This is your best opportunity you're ever going to have for any of these teams that are in the playoffs right now. Let's see here. Did have the last thing I want to go to here is just kind of get into, this could be the last game at Highmark Stadium. And Cody, you're probably going to have a hard time even answering this question, but maybe there's a game you've seen and it played in Buffalo that you watched on the TV that you're like, that's one of the best games ever. We'll come to you last. But Brett, my question to you is your best memory of going to a Bills game. I don't know how many you've went to. Hopefully you went to at least a few. But what is your best memory as a Bills fan at the Ralph? I'll call it the Ralph.
So I'm going to call it the Ralph. It started off as Rich Stadium. It became Ralph Wilson Stadium, turned into New Era, and then Highmark. And, it's always going to be the Ralph for me. But it's sad to see, after 53 years, the stadium is going to be going away. And I have one memory that I can remember from the stadium, and that's, it was a game in, I think it was 2020 against Tua, and the Dolphins were favored in this game, and Buffalo just came out, looked hot, and they played great. It was 30 degrees. I remember cars getting stuck in the parking lots and everything. It was muddy and miserable on Halloween. We're playing, and it's just a wonderful memory. I got to spend it with my dad and my brother and my cousin, and I'll never forget the day of just being there and being able to experience that. It's something that I'll take to my grave for sure, and just to be able to do it with my dad, and all the things that we've gone through over the past year, between the health issues with my father and everything, and God has helped us so much to get him back up to shape and be able to be around my son too, and for him to be a grandfather is just incredible. But the hard issues that he went through and everything was hard. But watching games, there's been some great ones. I remember the New England game a couple of years ago in the playoffs, and no punts in that game, and just a perfect offensive performance and greatest comeback. There's just so many different memories for whatever generation you were. But for me, it's just being there and the atmosphere that you have and being with fans that truly understand the NFL. And there's some really, really smart fans that are in Buffalo. I mean, it goes without saying this. I mean, we have some of the most intelligent fans. We have some of the craziest fans, some of the most passionate fans. And I think that this city deserves a team, and that what we've done with this new stadium is going to be incredible, and the atmosphere that we're going to have. But this is it's a sad day, but it's also a new beginning for the Buffalo Bills too. And we're going to continue to have for 50 years more games across the street and make this stadium even bigger and better. And I can't wait for that too, and to have another generation watch the Buffalo Bills, and my son go to his first game across the street is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think I think I read they're going to bring down the old stadium. Is it March of 2026 or 2027?
March 2026 is when the stadium is going to go down. They're already selling right now pieces of the stadium. You can get seats and everything. I think it's 2 for $650. You can get grass from the stadium 2 for $100. It's incredible though what they're doing, and
people will buy.
Yeah, I just I think about the rock pile, and my grandfather had a piece of the rock pile when it was torn down, and that went to me, and that's the next thing that I want to do is pass it down, continue that legacy that we have in our family of being Buffalo Bills fans for 4 generations. It's just incredible, but I want to give my son a piece of the stadium and just be able to say, hey, we're Buffalo Bills fans, thick and thin. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and support the team and take your son to the next game too. So the one thing that this is a sad part that I'll always remember about the stadium, and it's going to make me cry. I'm going to try and get through this without crying, but the reason I'm a Buffalo Bills fan mostly is because of my grandfather. He was a huge Bills fan. He had stage 4 lung cancer. He passed away in 2008. His dream was to take me to a game. And in 2008, passed away in July. And we were going to go to a game that year to celebrate and be, take me to my first game and everything. Never made it there. And I'll always remember the last things that he said to me was to make sure that I was able to go to that stadium before it was torn down. And my dad made a promise to him that he would do it. And we did. And it was a huge event for me. And I'll always remember that. And now going with my dad there, and like I said, my son hopefully going to the next stadium, carrying on that tradition is what I want to do. And that's what every single fan I think has done. Is you've seen from the 70s to now, of bringing their kids there and their grandkids there, and now great grandkids to the stadium is what we're gonna have for years to come, and I can't wait for that.
Yep. Good stuff there, Brett. And there's no crying in football, Brett. There's no crying. Isn't there a famous line? No, I'm just joking.
Hey, listen, there's a grave. There's a grave on the back of the stadium too. So I think that my grandfather was buried there. I say that, and that's why we're cursed and everything. And he's gonna continue to, he's gonna bring us that championship in the first year of being at the new stadium. So, but hopefully it's the last year and he can bring us the championship this season.
I agree. I've been fortunate enough to have seen games since it was Rich Stadium. I was very young. I got to see O.J. Simpson play. Not such a great thing to say anymore, but take away what he did outside of football and look at what he did in football. That was a great thing to see back then. I still remember him taking one to the house from, it was either 96 or 98 yards against the Steelers the year that they won the Super Bowl. The Bills made the playoffs that year as well. I remember that was like a Monday night game. But for me, I have a grandfather story as well. I mean, back in 1980, my grandfather had season tickets. And the Bills, as many of you know, we had lost 20 straight games to the Miami Dolphins. 20 straight games. And I was there in 1980 when the Bills beat the Dolphins 17-7. Fans rushed onto the field, tore the goalpost down, And that was probably my most memorable game. I've been fortunate enough to see it all the way from Rich Stadium all the way through all the names that they had. I did not. My dad went to the Rock Pile. I was too young. I was born when they were playing at the Rock Pile, but never got to see a game or anything like that. But my dad tells stories about that one. So we broke the 20-game streak. It was fantastic. Joe Ferguson was the quarterback. I mean, Bob Greasy was in that game. Guys, I got to see some of these guys. Bob Greasy, can you imagine? Got to see him play as well in that game. They both Joe Ferguson and Greasy had terrible games. They threw so many interceptions, but it was a great win. And then probably the other one that just stands out, I wasn't at the game. I was living in Buffalo and watched the game, of course. And I actually called my cousin the night before this game. It was the championship game to go to the Super Bowl against the Raiders. And I called my cousin Mark, and he lives in Buffalo as well. He's a Raider fan all his life. Didn't know why. But I came up with something like, was the night before Christmas. And I kid you not, I wish I had this recorded. Part of the rhyme was the Bills win 51-3. I'm telling you, I'm not lying about this. I wish I had the recording. The Bills winning 51-3 to get to their first Super Bowl is the other one that was just incredible to watch.
Yeah.
There's so many other ones as well. I can go on and on, but I'm ready for a change. Let's get a Super Bowl. Hopefully this year. Let's end it the right way. Let's get a Super Bowl the final year. How cool would that be? The story is there. Can you imagine that documentary on Netflix? I mean, it'd be a must watch. So let's go get it. John, I mean, what's your favorite memory Bills game? And then Cody, I know it's probably tough for you, but is there anything you can remember Bills playing in the game that you're like, my God, this is amazing?
Well, I'll throw it out here first. I mean, there's no crying in baseball, but how can you not be emotional about football? I mean, that's what we'll lead it off with to make this feel a little bit better. And then probably not the best look for the Buffalo Bills, but in terms of just watching on TV, the one. It's not the greatest, but the one that I could never get over was a Patriots-Bills game where somebody threw something onto the field.
Oh. You were going at that. I knew exactly what you were about to say.
I can't get over that one. And then one of the players, I forget exactly who it was, going on one of the shows the week after and saying that they were, if it was done again, they were going to put it on their helmet and run around with it in the end zone after they scored another touchdown. That was, I could never get over that one. But honestly, I will never get to experience the old stadium. But I was fortunate enough this year on a work trip to get to drive through Buffalo and see the city and actually stay in the city for a day and see the new stadium being built. I did not actually see the old stadium because I think as I was coming in, it was behind the new stadium, but getting to just feel how awesome that city has to be a full, I mean, that is a full on football town. Like I live in Houston. There's so much city, and then you just randomly drive and you can see the stadium from different parts and you can drive up to it. But Buffalo has a super cool thing where it is, I mean, I'm driving down a 2-lane road and then all of a sudden there's just this massive structure that appears out of nowhere. And I'm just like, what is that being built? Oh goodness. That's the Bills stadium. Like that is where everybody has to drive in on this road to get to the stadium. And just to be a true full on football town. I mean, I got to drive in. We weren't able to do it at the time that we drove in, but I drove back into Buffalo because we were staying a little bit outside. I got to drive back into Buffalo and get wings from, oh goodness, I'm trying to call out the place. Barbell, yes. Went out to Barbell, got the special wings that Jake recommended to me and was able to try them. They're absolutely delicious. But to be able to experience, not even like really experience the city, but even just to drive through it, you can tell that is just an absolute football town. And I fully give admiration and respect to everybody who is a fan of that team and lives up there.
Yeah. You said it best. This town is just incredible. They care about the Buffalo Bills. They live, breathe, and die by the Bills. But even when you're, the years in the 80s and 84 and 85 where we were 2-14, you're still out there bleeding and ready to fight for your team, as a fan, and then going all the way to making the playoffs every single year. they're still out there, and there's no giving up on them. You know, every single year you think that you're going to win the Super Bowl. It's just incredible what we've seen, and you know the memories that were made there from different generations, like we mentioned, Mike, Joe Ferguson, you know, O.J. Simpson, to the '80s with the bickering Bills scenario, and then the '90s of the Super Bowl run, and then the crappy years of the 17-year drought of all the players that we had that were, there's many that were great and then went to other teams and did phenomenal. And then Josh Allen comes in and builds this new house. I feel like Joe Ferguson and O.J. Simpson built the Rich Stadium, and then Josh Allen built the stadium across the street. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, good stuff, guys. Thanks for joining me on this Friday. It had been a while since we had done a show, and I'm like, we got to get out there and do a show. We covered a lot of stuff. So thank you, Cody. Thank you, Brett, for joining me. All I can say is I can't wait for this week to be over. Obviously, we'll see some seeding take place. There might be some changes, but not anything big. I don't see anything too big changing, and we'll know exactly where the Bills are going to play. We think right now that they'll be playing the Jaguars. So it's a scary team to play. But look, you got to be, let's beat the best to get this thing done. So let's go play them, and then let's go beat the Patriots, and then in the the championship game, let's beat the Broncos, and let's go. That way we can say we beat the top 3 seeds to get to the Super Bowl. How cool would that be? And hey, for you, Cody, if we can get a Bills Texans AFC Championship game, let's go. Let's go. It'd be in Texas. So my goodness, what a game that would be, my friend.
First AFC Championship for the Houston Texans. So yeah, hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can make another show work so we can break down that one, and I will be as pessimistic as it was the first time and say that you should beat us by 20 again.
I see what you did there too. You just using reverse psychology. And so now I'm going to flip that as well. I'm like, yeah, we don't stand a chance against you, Cody. You whooped us the first time. There's no way we win this one. So I'll use it right back at you.
It's the beauty of the reverse jinx.
All right, guys. Well, let's go. Hopefully you all here. Thank you again for joining us in the chat. And I hope you all had a great holiday. So we'll talk to you soon, probably post-game show this Sunday. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right, Cody, you can say it.
Swarm.